Today I'm going to be answering some of the questions that you sent in. But I thought we'd start this morning with just a little intention setting, so that, because I think it's important in times coming together here, that we actually set intentions. And what is it that you want? What is it that you want to get out of this? And I know that when we set intentions, we have much more chance of actually getting what we want, right? We tend to go around sometimes a little unconscious. And I think, you know, during these times, it's easy to fall into those places. So let's bring a little bit of consciousness into this and share some intentions. We'll do that in a minute. I just wanted to go through this morning. We're going to be talking a little bit more about beliefs. And somebody asked a great question about beliefs and how do we catch them? So we're going to be talking about that. And we're also going to be looking at, somebody else was asking, well, how can I raise my vibration? And I have a few ideas about that. I'm by no means up there at all, but I have some things that really help to navigate and help us to get more into alignment. So I will be sharing those with you as well. And was there something else? I think there was one more question. Oh yeah, some people are really enjoying being at home and are more concerned. Last week I was talking about the people who kind of are in that rush to get life back to normal. And so some people are saying, well, actually, I'm in no rush to get back to normal. What can I do about that? So I have some ideas about that too. Let's start this morning by just taking a breath in together. Just take that conscious breath, breathing in, and then just breathing out, just letting that breath go. You've been busy, I know. Just take another breath in. As you take your breath in, be aware of it's the divine aspect of you that breathes. So just be aware of that breath as it comes into your body and it goes out of your body. And just notice that as you do that, it's a great opportunity to just center, to come to that space of centering. I can still hear some background noise, so I'm just going to mute you. There we go. So focusing on that breath, moving in and moving out, and just allowing yourself a moment to get centered. So just be in the space where you feel a sense of your own body, your own awareness, your own breath. And know that as we take this breath in together, so we connect at the highest levels, those highest realms. And let's see a golden strand of light coming down and connecting with the heart center of each and every one of us here today, forming a wheel of light at the highest of levels. Knowing that each and every person here today is so connected that we form this wheel of light together. For our highest good, for our healing, for our wisdom, for our awareness. And also for the collective, knowing that as we shift and change our own awareness, we shift and change the awareness of the consciousness. So being aware that you being present with you can really help to do that in such a wonderful way. So as we come back, taking in that breath, just centering you into the here and now, taking in a breath and just thinking, with what I've said we're going to be doing, what would be a good intention for you today? Like, what would it be that you would want to get out of today for yourself? What would be really useful? Like, is it inspiration that you're needing? Is it healing? Is it guidance? Is it connection? What's your intention? And just have a little, if you've got a little piece of paper right by you, then write them down. I'm going to unmute you so that if you want to share your intentions, I'd love to hear them. So I'm going to unmute you. So maybe I'll have you unmute yourselves rather than everybody all at the same time. Okay, so who would like to share their intention? You just click on the unmute and share it. Anybody? Well, anybody going to share their intention? Hi, Jennifer. I'm going to unmute you because I can see you waving. So
Hi, Kim.
Hi, what's your intention for this session today?
So it's to live from a place of unconditional love with an open heart at all times.
Yeah, beautiful. Beautiful.
So,
Anybody else resonate with that one? Can see a few nods. Great one. Thank you. Anybody else want to share your intention? Speak into the space that we're creating together. Hi, Nancy. I can see you waving. Fabulous. Hi. So what's your intention?
I would like guidance for moving back into our new world, how it's going to be in the next few weeks, the next few months.
Brilliant. Okay. Nice.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else relate to that? I think a few people can. Like, how are we going to do this? Are we going to do this in a new way, right? Brilliant. Okay, so hopefully you have your intention and you're aware of what it is you want to get from this. What is it that you need and that we need together? So last week we were talking about beliefs, and for those of you who weren't here last week, I want to just recap for you. So our beliefs, let me mute you all again. So our beliefs are the filters through which we see and experience life, right? So, you know, your body and mind try to create a system that works. And, you know, we get programmed from when we're very young to about 7, that becomes our subconscious mind. Now, the beliefs are already laid down on that track, and some are really useful and some are really not very useful. And then we try to live our lives and sort ourselves out in a way that we don't know what's playing underneath. And that's why it can be really tricky to say, what do I believe in? Like, we know sometimes what we don't believe in, or we know our conscious level beliefs, but what we don't know often are the subconscious level beliefs. And when I'm working with people, I'm very aware that these subconscious beliefs are often the things that drive them. So we can also have beliefs that come up from experiences we've had. And some of those are great and are really useful and resourceful, and we want to keep those and nurture those. But the ones that aren't so useful, the ones that play in, and we tend to create a level of conflict between us. And, you know, when I've heard people talk about affirmations, that's often at this level where they're talking about belief systems and, you know, that you know, you have this belief system about yourself. I know a lot of people that I speak to have that not good enough pattern running. And so you have a not good enough pattern running, and then you say, no, I'm fabulous, I'm fantastic, I'm wonderful. And there's a part of you that's going, no, have you checked? So you create this conflict that goes back and forth, right? So now you've got a third problem. Not only do you have a belief you want to change, but now you've got this other problem of trying to create some peace and harmony with these two parts that are now in conflict with you, because you're trying to move to a reality that you want to create, but you're stuck in a reality that has been created. And, you know, the other piece, I think, is people will often go back into their past. They'll go back looking for it, which is useful sometimes to find it, as long as you're looking for it without blame, right? When we start, I knew it. I knew it was their fault that I have this belief playing, right? And I think, well, people are programmed. So wherever you picked it up from, well done. Like, some of them will serve you, nourish them, nurture them, just like the garden. But the ones that you want to change, how do you find them? Like, the ones we're conscious of, we're consciously aware of it. The ones that we're unconscious of, how do we find those? And I think this is such a great question, Donna, because it really highlights that we don't know what we don't know, right? We're not conscious all of the time. So when we have limiting beliefs, but we don't know what they are, you'll often see these show up in your behaviors and in your capabilities. Like, what do you find yourself doing when maybe you want to be doing something else? So I noticed this morning, I decided yesterday, I'm doing a cleanse, right? I'm going to start cleansing. So yesterday I started my cleanse. This morning, I found myself putting half a muffin in the toaster. I thought, that's not part of my cleanse, right? So what's going on? There's a belief that's in conflict with that. So often it's our behaviors that will show us what beliefs are stuck, right? What beliefs do we have that are getting stuck? So, you know, if you're running a not good enough belief, right, let's say that's what you're believing to be true. You don't notice it in your everyday because you've become comfortable with it, but you find maybe you experience social anxiety. Well, that's where that belief is showing up. And what you want is you want to be comfortable in social situations. So you have to come back to, what is it that you believe to be true? So let's recap really quickly. So what is the unconscious belief? The way of finding that is by noticing behaviors and capabilities. Another example I can give you on the capability side of things is way back when I was living in England. My sister was a runner and she used to run for an hour every day for fun. I, who was not a runner, hated the idea of running, thought running was awful, couldn't understand why people did it, obviously had a very different belief system running, right? And so I started to get curious, like, how is she thinking about it in a way that is so different than the way I'm thinking about it? Well, she believed it re-energized her, right? Running re-energizes her. She believed it connected her to the earth and connected her to divine light. And that when she ran, she cleared out and came into a high level of attunement. That was very, very different from what I was believing to be true, right? Once I started to go, well, let me see, what does it feel like to have this belief, to be able to believe that actually running for an hour every day is fun? Well, it took a little bit of work, I must say, and it took me a few months to kind of get into that space where physically I was fit enough to be able to do that. But very soon I found myself like being re-energized by running, connecting with nature, having that experience that she was talking about. So when we start to shift our experiences and try on different beliefs, like just trying them on, just becoming curious about what would be a more resourceful belief for you to hold on to, and try it on like a hat, you know? Experience, what does that feel like? What would you notice? What would you see? What would you hear? What would you feel? Using your senses to really connect in, what is your experience? So when you are looking for your unconscious beliefs that you're not consciously aware of, look at, where are you limited or where are you challenged? And do some brainstorming, do some journaling. And I always think it's important here to also mention that when you find a limiting belief, do not beat it to death. That isn't going to help at all. You want to say these words: I want to understand you. I will not harm you. Most people I work with and have the privilege of working with have, you know, given themselves such a hard time about these limitations that we have, right? So instead of treating ourselves with that compassion, we beat ourselves up. Now, in order to make friends and peace with yourself, in order to have that deeper level of peace within you, I will not harm you. I want to understand you. And think about it, you know, if you were meeting somebody who's been around for a long time and you've been treating them really badly, you've been giving them a hard time, you've been blaming them, they're not going to be very open to communicating with you, right? So you've got to go gentle, go easy. I think every part of us is trying to do something really great for us, but it doesn't always deliver it in the right way. So create that inner peace, create that harmony, create that compassion. Okay, I'm going to pause for a moment. Any thoughts or questions or anything anybody wants to ask right now? So, isn't getting rid of it causing harm? Good question. No, is the answer. Okay, so it's a great question. And I think that what we're looking at is if a belief is there for a safety purpose, right? So let's say you're going to jump out of an aeroplane, right? You want to make sure you've got a parachute on. Just a suggestion. I would anyway. You want to make sure it works, and you want to make sure that parachute is going to save your life ultimately. So when you're looking at beliefs, ecology is important. So what I mean by that is that if a belief is protecting you, you want to keep the protection of that belief. For example, let's say it's social anxiety and you're worried and concerned about what people are going to think about you, right? Ultimately, that belief is there to keep you safe. So how can you stay safe and be more sociable? Does that make sense? Good. So I've got another one coming in. A fear of success, a dreaded fear of success. Okay, so maybe other people have that too. So the dreaded fear of success is usually, in my experience, not about success at all. It's usually about your fear of being seen, or your fear of having to step out there and somehow not being enough. And again, it's how can I step out there safely? How can I be successful in a way that I feel safe and comfortable? And maybe that's in having people around that support you. Maybe it's, you know, being clear that your message or what it is you're trying to say is actually more important, and you've got a safe way of doing it, right? So again, I'm using myself this morning as a lot of examples, but for those of you who've known me for a while, I've been talking about getting online and doing this work online and wanting to get online. And it wasn't until really this COVID thing hit and the urge for me to speak and to help and to share became so strong. I didn't have a choice, right? All of my fear of stepping out there and being judged and everything else, it kind of took a back seat, because what was more important was actually helping people and engaging with you and hopefully giving you some tools that will help you through these times. So, you know, in some ways, so what I'm saying there is that the goal has to be big enough. Like, I think that when there's that call for action that comes from deep within our souls, when there is that, like, it's more powerful. And how do we do it in a safe way? Right? You know, I do it in a safe way here with you. You have to have a password, you have to log on. That way, I know I'm protecting you as we move forward, and your identities and everything else. So the fear of success, really finding out what is important to you, right? What is that is rising within you that you want to share, and how can you do it in a safe way? It may be that you want to bring more love, and so that's what you focus on in those social interactions. How can I bring more love? How can I bring healing? How can I connect with people in a way that really makes a difference? Okay. So we're getting through time so quickly today. So I do want to answer everybody's questions that sent them in. So somebody had a fear of going back to normal life. And again, I think there was also a question about that earlier. This question I'm finding is usually coming from empaths, right? Empaths are people who feel other people's feelings, right? And who have that deeper level of sensitivity. So for those of you who fall into that category, that maybe this has been such a wonderful experience for you. You don't have any of the demands of the outside world. You get to spend time with yourself in meditation. You get to have those things and live a lifestyle that you're in harmony with. And what I would say to you is that's so important for you to know. Like empaths, you are so focused on what's outside of you that to have this opportunity to come inside is really what you are noticing now. So what are you enjoying? What is giving you that sustenance? What is giving you, what are you doing that is causing you to enjoy that experience? And I would say take a really good look at your boundaries and your values. So do you need to set better boundaries in your life? Right? This has been an opportunity for you to know what you enjoy. So in knowing what you enjoy, spend time there. Make time in your everyday life as we go through this reintegration. Make sure that you're still doing the things that feed you, that nourish you, that bring you joy, that revive you. So that brings me to the next piece, which is about foundation stones. And, you know, I've been talking about foundation stones for such a long time. And for those of you who are new or haven't heard me talk about that yet, foundation stones are the pieces that keep us grounded and have us being our best self, right? And some of them are pretty basic. But it's amazing how many people will forget them. So I'm bringing you back to foundation pieces because I think that if you can anchor your foundation stones in place and you keep coming back to them as we reintegrate and go maybe back into some kind of normality about life, although I think life is going to be different. So your foundation stones are what grounds you, what connects you, and what stabilizes you. So for me, meditation has to be like my number one. If I don't meditate, I'm not present, I'm not grounded. The ripple effects of meditation and my daily practice actually nourish me and allow me to be able to, you know, get inspiration, get all kinds of things. So for some of you, it will be meditation. For some of you, it will be diet and nutrition. You know, hopefully you're not all, you know, there's a lot of talk about the 10, the COVID 10, right? So maybe it's time to clean up your diet like I tried to this morning. I will keep going, I promise. But it's what foods nourish you, what has you feeling your best. So, you know, maybe it's looking at your nutrition and making sure that you're eating a healthy, balanced diet that nourishes you. And you know what that is, right? Not anybody else. I really think that it's time to stop looking outside and start looking inside. And I will say that again and again until I'm blue in the face, right? What is your truth? Because what's right for you is not necessarily right for everybody. And you have the answers within you, right? So you know what foods nourish you. You know how much water you need to be drinking. So the foundation stones will stabilize you. Exercise, meditation, things like that. I also have in mind like reading and spending time in nature. For me, it's essential, right? It brings me back to center. The breath also brings you back to center. So this week I'm going to give you some homework. I'd love you to start thinking about what are the foundation stones of your life? What are the foundation stones of your life that will ground you and connect you and have you feeling and being your best self? And it's your best self. It isn't to do with anybody else. Look outside for inspiration, but find the truth within you. So, Raising your frequency is about spending time nourishing yourself, grounding yourself, anchoring into the foundation stones, and then noticing, like, where are you vibrationally? How are you feeling? How connected to your heart are you? Are you open-hearted, or is your heart closed? And for a lot of people, when they're in fear, their heart's closed. So it's time to open them up and let the fear flow through. So raising your frequency is about beliefs, right? What are you believing to be true? It's about awareness. Where are you putting your awareness? What are you focusing on? If you're focusing on the news and the panic and the stressful things in life, your frequency isn't going to be as high as it possibly could, right? Now, I do think it's important to be aware of what's going on, but find a way that doesn't adjust your frequency too much. Music is another great way of raising our frequency. Music, meditation, conscious thoughts, kindness to yourself as well. I can see you. I know that there are some of you there who can be so kind to everybody else, but really quite nasty to yourselves, right? So let's take that kindness from out there and bring it in here. That will raise your vibration. Meditation, awareness. Okay, so those are some of the things that will start to raise your frequency. Now, on Thursdays, we come together for a group meditation. It's guided meditation and distant healing. So love you to join us with that. I'm working at the moment on getting an online program together to help people, through fear. So, I'm open right now. I have some time. So if there's anything you want me to be focusing on to help you right now, let me know. I love it when you let me know what your questions are and what your thoughts are and where you are. It feels very much like a one-way conversation, but I do love seeing your faces and I do love being connected with you in this way. So let's just take a moment to just take a breath together again and come into your heart. As you breathe into your heart, did you know that more messages go from your heart to your brain than from your brain to your heart? Did you also know your heart is always in this present moment, whereas your head is often in the past? So take in that breath and feel that connection to your heart. Feel all of our hearts connected in love. Love for yourself, a love for humanity. And I ask you to spend some time just thinking this morning, what is the new humanity we want to awaken to? What do we want to create for each other and for ourselves? Peace, harmony, joy. Let's put some thoughts and some effort there. And I often see that when I'm thinking about the collective consciousness, to me, I often see it as like a cloud formation above us. And what I'm asking for us to do right now is to go a little higher than that. So just imagine going up above the clouds and creating a new level of consciousness, a consciousness of peace, a consciousness where every human is valuable, where every one of us is shining our light, is thriving. We're connected and supporting one another on this journey. Compassion and love and harmony. As you spend time there, you not only raise your frequency, but you raise the frequency around you. Your thoughts, your awareness, your presence, all of those make a difference. So feel that in your heart as you breathe into it. Know it in your heart throughout this week. Feel that connection. And if you need to tap into this consciousness for yourself, it's there. Tap into it. Let's together create this frequency of unconditional love, acceptance, of a peaceful and harmonious humanity. So this week, breathe into that. Find your foundation stones. I'd love to hear what they are. What are your foundation stones? What supports you? What grounds you? What has you thriving as your best self, right? So pay attention to that. And I truly thank each and every one of you for joining me today. It's so great to come together and connect together. So have a beautiful week, and hopefully I will see you on Thursday. And then next week, I decided it'd be a good idea to talk about some laughter. How about that? So let's come together and let's join together in laughter next week. I thank you, each and every one of you. Have a beautiful, beautiful week. And hopefully I'll see you next week or Thursday. You're welcome to join our meditation. Lots of love to you. Bye. Bye.